Roshan is already 11:01. Are we going live?
Yes, sir. Yes. So, sir, it's 3, 2, 1. Sir, we are live now.
So, good morning, friends, and welcome to Live Pharma Coalition, the world's largest online learning and sharing platform purely for pharmaceutical professionals. Well, it has been your support and love that has carried us through more than 100 sessions. And today we have on board some of the best speakers across the globe so that we can have their experience as well as their learning on this wonderful platform we call Live Pharma Coalition. Let us see what happens in a jungle. The tallest animal in the jungle is a giraffe. The biggest animal, of course, is the elephant. The fastest is the cheetah. And the cleverest, probably the fox. But who is the king? None of them. It's the lion. But why do you think that the animals have accepted the lion as a king? Because we all know that a person cannot be a king as self-proclaimed. Others need to accept that person as a king. So it is the acceptance of a person that makes him a leader. So it is also the acceptance of LPC that it has become the world's largest learning and sharing platform. And that is not self-proclaimed. That is absolutely your acceptance and your support for the endeavor that we have undertaken. So never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. And when we stop learning, we stop growing. Learning is an experience. Everything else is just information. Learning is the only treasure that will follow the owner everywhere, because it is something that can never be stolen. So keep learning and keep sharing. And the best platform, Live Pharma Coalition. So now I would like to share my screen. So friends, once again, welcome to Live Pharma Coalition, the world's largest online pharma discussion platform, which is purely for learning and sharing. So this has got some of the world's largest pharma discussions already done, with more than 45 plus pharma companies and institutions and 125. In fact, it is now more than 180 plus speakers with 20,000 Facebook and YouTube reach. We have a strong team of 28 executive members who are spread across the length and breadth of the pharma industry and who come from different places on the globe for the best industry and institute connect for weekly pharma live discussions. Well, thank you so much, friends, because this was the coveted event that we were all waiting for, the LPC 100, and it has absolutely been your support. And I would have to say it was overwhelming, which made this 100 conclave so very successful. So dear friends, for any type of collaborations that you would like to have with LPC, please connect with Mr. Raman, Mr. Yashwant, Mr. ICS, and even me, so that we can together take this learning endeavor forward. These were the stalwarts, the best in the industry, who had donned the platform of LPC 100 conclave at Mumbai on the 20th of March. And you can't expect a bigger galaxy of stars from the pharma industry than the ones whose photographs you can see. And this, of course, says it all, because this was the plethora of the top leaders in the Indian and international pharmaceutical industry who joined their hands together so that we can make this LPC 100 conclave a grand success. And thank you so much, Imagica Health, because it has been your support for the learning journey that we are able to go session by session. Imagica Health, in a nutshell, explores the intersection between design, digital health technology, and content marketing for the leading brands. In fact, they have an ex-marketeer-led team of medical writer, graphic designers, streamers, coders who serve the pharmaceutical industry for bettering customer engagement, bringing patient centricity, improving control on the sales team, and increasing the return on investment for various marketing campaigns. So thank you, Imagica Health, for being a partner in our learning journey. So coming to LPC 103. So today it is a global leadership where we are building a collaborative learning community. And today we have on board Mr. Fitzson Addis, who is a pharmaceutical manager, Animo Pharmaceuticals. And the topic that he is going to throw light on is overview of Ethiopian pharmaceutical business. Along with him, we have Nina Singhal, who is the business head of Genesis, and her topic is going to be Ethiopian pharma market regulatory. So today, friends, as you can already understand, it's going to be a total discussions on the entire market of Ethiopia. And I have been ably joined by Mr. Praveen Pandey, who is DGM International Marketing at Grecure Pharmaceuticals. And along with him, we have as a panelist, Mr. Saurabh Mishra, who is AGM International Business at Otsuka Pharmaceuticals. So friends, just be with us, because I'm sure that we are going to have a very insightful as well as engaging learning journey in the next 1.5 hours time. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned with us. And thank you once again for Life Pharma Coalition, which was last week, LPC 102, which was on leadership. And thank you for your support on Facebook as well as YouTube. So friends, I can assure you that we are going to have a wonderful learning journey. So please stay with us. And it's time I hand over to Mr. Praveen Pandey for the next part of this session. Mr. Praveen, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Apan. Today is a good day with many aspects with Indian cultural. That is one part. If we'll go with South Asian culture, still Holy Week has been started from this week. If we'll go Ethiopian market, of course, yes, some percentage they follow some different religions, but yes, they follow. So a special day already is today. Why special we are talking again? Because we are going to talk on Ethiopia. Ethiopia is such a different market compared to all aspects. Almost, if we'll go with business deals, it's completely different. If we'll go with pricing, again, it's not a challenge. People get earned from there. It's a good margin. We can finalize multiple importer by keeping one LTR. We can go with, one molecule 10 registration. That is also a possibility. Apart from that, it's bit organized market and 100% monopoly by Samsara shipment. It can be followed by only Samsara. No other person or no other shipping line can dispatch goods to Ethiopia. This is what we are going to learn, which is from very far we are aware. But how deeply the inside story is, that we can understand from Nina and Fitzson. So here I would like to welcome Mr. Fitzson, who is having more than 10 years experience in pharmaceutical market. At present, he is handling one manager for one pharmaceutical company in Ethiopia. And apart from that, he is guest lecturer for pharmaceutical colleges. Apart from that, he has been exposed for technical aspects, and most of the time he has worked as a consultant for more than one pharmaceutical company. So thank you. I'll just hand over to Mr. Fitzson to talk 1 minute about his topic.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Praveen. And thank you so much, LPC, for giving me this chance and for the wonderful platform. And yeah, this is Mr. Fitzson Addis, maybe the youngest pharmaceutical manager from the country. So now I'm going to insight you on the overview of the Ethiopian pharmaceutical market and what are the real opportunities you are going to have from the market, and about the population size, and maybe about a little bit about the trades. So hopefully we will have a very good discussion on this. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Fitzson, once again. I would like to, give the time to Mr. Saurabh, who can talk on topic as well as who can introduce our another co-pan speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen. Warm welcome to all our viewers who are joining us from different parts of the globe in different time zones. Indeed, yes, this is a very important week, I would say, for from cultural aspects. The whole of Southeast Asia is witnessing celebrations because New Year is coming. So we are divided by political boundaries, but we are joined by a common cultural heritage that we have. Moving to today's topic, today we'll be talking about a very interesting country. And for all non-pharma viewers, this country is considered as a birthplace of coffee. So we'll be talking about Ethiopia, a very prominent market situated on the eastern side of African continent, which is also called as the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia is the second largest populated country in Africa. And to throw some light on the Ethiopian market, today we have Ms. Nina Singhal with us, who will be enlightening us with her experience and knowledge about the Ethiopian market. Ms. Nina Singhal brings along with her 18 years of work experience in the pharmaceutical international business with her. She is a pharmacy graduate and a postgraduate diploma holder in subjects like public relations, international business, and marketing. Ms. Nina is one of the very few female faces who have work experience of ground working in countries of Africa like Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. Since 2016, Ms. Nina started her own startup, and she's providing consultancy service for market entry and regulatory affairs in regions of Latin America, Europe, and Africa. So over to you, Ms. Nina. I would like you to just give a brief about what we'll be listening from you today about Ethiopian market. Over to you. Ms. Nina, you're on mute.
So very good morning to everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of one of the panelists today. Thank you, Saurabh, for a very warm introduction. Coming back to Ethiopia, Ethiopia is a very beautiful country, very close to India. There are a lot of warm relations we have with Ethiopia. So we have, in terms of cuisine, in terms of weather, there's so much to explore in Ethiopia. Apart from that, of course, there is a lot of business opportunity which we can tap in Ethiopia. Today, I'll be covering the regulatory part. Regulatory is very, very, very important when it comes to international business, because that is the starting point where we start our international business. Regulatory affairs is also the interface between the government body and the suppliers. So it is very important in international business to pay very close attention to regulatory affairs. And today, I would like to share some insights about it, some beginning thoughts about how we can take care of the regulatory affairs. So this is from my end, and of course, we'll discuss more with time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nina. We'll be very eager to listen to you. I would now like to hand over the screen to Mr. Praveen to take the discussion forward. Mr. Praveen, over to you.
Thanks. Once again, thanks. And I think we are going to learn something different, definitely, because one person is going to talk about business and second is about regulatory. So either we have to learn regulatory to initiate business, or we have to learn business first, then we should think about regulatory. Both are vice versa, always is required. Without that, we cannot move. So first, we would like to understand how the market is, what is required, how we can move, how we can prove a good company over there. And that we are going to hear from Mr. Fitzen. So Mr. Fitzen, this is entire screen for you from here. Please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I will take that. So let me share my screen. Yeah.
Your screen is not visible as now.
Is not visible?
No, as of now, it's not visible.
Okay.
Just go to share screen option. Just go to share screen and
Yeah.
there you can start the presentation. Click on the presentation that you have
Yes.
made ready. Yes, we are yeah.
Now,
Now put it on the
okay.
slideshow. Put it on the slideshow.
Yes.
Click on slideshow. It's up there.
Yeah.
Are you able to click on slideshow? Yes, fabulous.
Public
Please
share?
carry on. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So now we will say on the overview of Ethiopian pharmaceutical business. And this Ethiopia is normally the Federal Republic, Democratic Republic of Ethiopia is the second most largest country in Africa, which accounts almost 9% of the African population. And the country's projected population is over almost 115 million people, with a population growth rate of 2.7%. And administratively, the country is divided into 10 national regional state and 2 city administration. And there is a national aspiration graduate to middle income country at 2025. And this, the industrial development strategy of Ethiopia is clearly stated that the private sector is considered as the engine of the sector of the growth, and special incentives are given to companies who are interested on the manufacturing industries. And pharmaceutical industry is one of the main subsectors that are given priority in the manufacturing sector. And the government has recognized the importance of strengthening Ethiopian pharmaceutical subsectors because like there is a huge demand for the pharmaceutical products in the country because of the high population. And when we see there are actually local manufacturers in the country, and the local manufacturers produce only the generic and very similar drugs in a very small quantity. And also there is no production of active pharmaceutical ingredients in the country. And now the government and private clinics and hospitals in the country are coming up, and the demand for the drugs are increasing. And in order to meet this growing demand, a large amount of drugs are imported by different actors, okay, from the Ministry of Health, from the Ethiopian pharmaceutical supply agencies, from NGOs, and from different private importers. And since it is the second largest population in Africa, like more than 100 million, which is nearly almost 9% of the African population. So the need for these pharmaceutical products, also for medical equipments, medical supplies, and the others, there is a very high need in the country. And mostly these are covered by the private importers and the Ethiopian pharmaceutical supply agency. And in the Ethiopian pharmaceutical import products, like mostly we usually import the antibiotics, the vaccines, the vitamins, surgical items, cardiovasculars, and anti-diabetics, anti-malarial, and very much pharmacological category products. And maybe apart from this, why do we need to invest in Ethiopia on the export, like on both, actually also on manufacturing and also on the export? Okay, because normally Ethiopia is a very strategic location, and there is a very high market access and demand. And because of the exceptional climate due to the location on highlands, the average temperature of the country annually, it is between 20 and 30 degrees centigrade. And there are also sufficient surface and ground water resource, and maybe also there are a lot of workforce with a very affordable price. So now the government is like initiating for the pharmaceutical manufacturing companies, like there are a lot of opportunities and incentives are given for the companies who are interested on that. So now I think upon questions and the discussions, we will discuss the details on that. Thank you so much.
Mr. Fitsam, you can stop sharing your screen now.
Okay.
Don't save, it won't come that way. Don't save.
Oh, okay.
Well, while Mr. Fitsam stops his screen sharing, Mr. Saurav, you must be having some questions for Mr. Fitsam. I think you must be loaded with questions.
We are already receiving the questions from, Facebook.
So I have also received some, so you can start the ones which you have received. Okay.
Okay.
Don't save. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. Okay, Mr. Fitsam, very insightful and very, very capsulated information, a lot of insights on the Ethiopian market. Mr. Fitsam, I have some questions from your slide itself. It mentions that from 2015 onwards, the primary healthcare coverage has become 100%. And since Ethiopia is the second largest populated country in Africa, so I believe there will be a lot of demand of pharmaceuticals in the market, both from the private sector as well as the government sector. So how do you see the demand gap between what is required in the country and how it is being supplied by both private and the institution sectors?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Saurabh. Yeah, there is normally a gap between the demand and supply. Almost like 85 to 90% of the medications are imported from outside, and only like 10 to 50% are manufactured in the local manufacturing companies. So this indicates that there is a high opportunity for exporting of pharmaceutical products from different parts of the world. And even on the national drug list, there are around 300 essential drug lists, but out of that, only 90 of them are manufactured there, which is almost 30%. So there is a very high need and a demand for the pharmaceutical products because of the population size, and almost 85% of them are imported from outside.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Saurabh ji, you have any other questions for Mr. Fitsam?
Well, this insight gives me another question. So it's an inquiry from my side. I mean, Mr. Fitsam, you just mentioned that almost 70% of the pharmaceuticals in terms of numbers are imported from the molecules wise, they're imported, and close to 85% is the import market. So does it give any opportunity from manufacturers across the globe to come and invest in Ethiopia? Is the business environment conducive, or are there any government incentives, or from a manufacturer's point of view, how is the Ethiopian market if one wishes to invest?
Yeah, thank you. It is a very good nowadays, right now, there is a very conducive environment, like the government support is for the sector, since these pharmaceutical items are a very priority in our country, and the government support is for that sector. We do have a strong investment policy focused on the pharmaceuticals, which is led by normally right now with the Prime Minister office. And there is also access to large market, since it is more than 100 million people population, and abundant workforce, like the existence of higher education institutes, more than 10 schools. There are more than 10 schools of pharmacy in the country, the governmental, but there are also private schools. So for manufacturing, there is also tax exemptions, specialized industrial park, which is now right now called the Clinton Industrial Park. So on that, there is a very highly subsidized land sublease rate. Okay, the rate for the land is very small amount, and even the location of the country, you know, it is like the proximity between the Middle East and like the air travel from India to Ethiopia is almost around 4,370 kilometers. So which is very near to the Middle East. So there are many opportunities especially for the manufacturers, to invest and produce there. And also there is efficient transport networks for the importers or for the exporters. There is a rail, there is a road with air, like you can export your products.
Well, that's very nice. That's really encouraging. Now, in fact, I have one question for you is that, see, there are a lot of Indian entrepreneurs who are eyeing the Ethiopian market to make an investment, because Ethiopia is now a go-to market for many Indian entrepreneurs, considering the amount of returns that this market is giving. So, Mr. Phipson, why do you think the Indian entrepreneurs should invest in Ethiopia, and what are the opportunities that are there for them?
Yeah, I think almost it is the same question. Normally, you know, I told you that almost 85% of the country's need is imported from outside. Probably I can say that because out of the 85%, maybe 60% of the items are imported from India. Yeah, most of the Indian, normally, like the people, our people prefer the Indian products because they are very much affordable, and with also with quality, with trust. The people trust the products from the India, and we do have very much huge amount of companies. They are already registered there, so we can easily import products from India. And yeah, the first thing is about, because the people are very much sensitive on price. Yeah, most of the population. So since it is very much affordable, like I think even for those companies which are not registered there and not exporting their product, this would be a very good chance for them to think on that business. But there are some trades maybe which we can like as a challenge, because since if there is also an opportunity for the market, there are also another challenges and as trades for the market. Maybe the first is the supply shortage and the insufficient logistics, and the other maybe the increasing price of the pharmaceutical suppliers nowadays because of the raw material. I don't know, it is because of the active pharmaceutical ingredient and the policy change from the Chinese and the other things. Now the price is like getting increased in our country, and but the main challenge in our country is the foreign currency challenge. Yeah, because of maybe the conflict and the political instability in the country, like since there is insecurity and due to ethnocentric conflicts, now like the country is getting very much challenged on the forex. So that would be one of the trades you might face there. And maybe the last one is, since the country is landlocked, we don't have port. We usually use the Djibouti port, and maybe on the coming days, maybe with the Somaliland. So this might be some of the trades we are facing.
Very nice. Yeah, Mr. Fitsum, in fact, I think, first of all, India has got a good cultural similarity with Ethiopia. And second is the warm nature of the people of Ethiopia, which is very revealed from your face, because there hasn't been a single moment in this entire session when I didn't find the smile on your face. In fact, the smile never left your face. So that's the nature that we are contemplating from the people of Ethiopia, and the welcoming nature for the Indian entrepreneurs who want to invest in Ethiopia. So I think your presence on this platform is definitely going to open the floodgates as far as Indian investment on Ethiopian pharmaceutical industry is concerned. So thank you so much, Mr. Fitson, for the wonderful insights that you gave to us and the learnings that we received from your deliberation regarding the Ethiopian pharmaceutical market. So once again, thank you so much for being on this platform. So now I'll once again go over to Mr. Saurabh Mishra so that he can give an introduction of our next speaker, Neena Singhal, and she can start her presentation. Over to you, Mr. Saurabh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Arpan, and thank you, Fitsam, for the insights. Indeed, it would be unfair to talk about opportunities without the challenges. So he summed up both the opportunities and the challenges of the market. I think the Forex challenge is a challenge for a country which is import dependent, obviously, but this actually brings opportunity for the investors. And for any country facing the Forex challenge, any kind of investment, especially in the pharmaceuticals, aims towards self-reliance, and it would be a welcoming step. Indeed, I mean, like what Mr. Arpan has just mentioned, that a lot of Indian entrepreneurs and investors would be looking for Ethiopia market. Let's see if LPC can be of help to them. Now, moving ahead to our next speaker, Ms. Neena Singhal, who would be talking about the regulatory part of the international business, which indeed, as she just mentioned, that's the first step when you move ahead entering into any market. So, Ms. Neena, over to you, and we hope to learn from you. Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you so much. I'm sharing my screen, but I can't see my presentation here.
You just share your screen and then you click on the presentation that you are having. You have to, yes,
I can see.
Yes. Now you, yeah, that's full. Come on the slide share.
One moment. I think this will.
Yeah, take your time. Yes, slideshow.
Is it okay?
Fine. Yes, fine. Please carry on.
Okay. So as in the starting of our conversation, we discussed how important regulatory affair is to start international business. That holds true for Ethiopia also. So in a couple of slides, I will just take through the regulatory requirements from Ethiopia point of view. So can I go to my next slide?
Yeah, just click on the, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so Ethiopia, in Ethiopia, the regulatory body is also called as EFDA, which is the Ethiopian Food and Administration Body. I have given the link of the website. If anybody wants to refer, they can definitely go through the site. EFDA is the national regulatory body of Ethiopia, which is under the Ministry of Health. The authority is responsible to ensure the quality, safety, and efficacy of medicine. It also covers food, cosmetic, and medical devices. So in Ethiopia, it is mandatory to have site inspection and get audited by EFDA. The drug inspectors from EFDA, they visit India, they go through site, they study, they refer to all the SOPs, what they are referring, and accordingly, they can give the approval. The GMP audit fees for 4 lines is USD 9,500. This is approximately at the moment, but we can get a definite figures later also. The GMP audit is valid for 5 years. After 5 years, again, we have to go for a re-inspection. Now, marketing authorization holder is a local importer, which is important and mandatory. Coming to product registration, again, product registration is mandatory. No product should be shipped or exported in Ethiopia without product registration. The guidelines are well organized. We can share at later stage. The drug registration fee varies from 1,500 to 2,000 USD per product. Dossier format accepted is in Ctd format. Approximately, it takes 6 months to 1 year for product registration. But in case of vital products or emergency products or critical care products, the registration can happen in 3 months or so. The stability zone, which is followed in Ethiopia, is zone 4B. The stability data, what is expected is 3 batches of stability data with accelerated 6 months and long-term for about 12 months. Coming to the Ctd format, I would just like to give a brief introduction for this format. So basically, there are 5 modules in Ctd. The module 1, which covers administrative documents, basically the importer, exporter details, manufacturer details, followed by module 2, which covers a quality summary, clinical overview, whereas the quality is also covered in module 3. But in module 4, it is non-clinical studies, whereas in module 5, it is clinical study. So basically, this is the structure of Ctd dossier. Ethiopia is also a member of Preferential Trade Agreement and Bilateral Investment, that is COMESA. The COMESA stands for the Common Market for Eastern and South Africa. As Pitson has already thrown light that how important is Ethiopia market in Africa, Ethiopia also holds a potential to serve as an export hub for almost $2 billion pharmaceutical market in Africa. So definitely Ethiopia is a priority market in Africa, and it is go-to market with lucrative incentives now in both. I would just like to throw light about the prevalences of the diseases, because in Africa for decades we have been talking about the communicable diseases. The most 3 important top diseases are malaria, AIDS, TB. But I think in Africa and also in Ethiopia, what is taking up is non-communicable disease, which is followed by cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes, mellitus, and COPD. So this is a good insight for a supplier or a manufacturer or exporter, that they can look into this kind of product range also for their export products. So this was about the regulatory part. If there are any question from audience, I'm ready to take now.
Yes, you can
Nina.
stop your screen sharing, and Sauravji, you can take the questions.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Nina. Insight on the market, and actually it challenged our stereotypical thinking about the African market, that yes, being an equator country, it would be more about communicable disease. But
Right.
I believe the lifestyle diseases, as you just mentioned, are on the rise. So that opens new opportunities to serve the country and add to the healthcare sector of Ethiopia.
Right.
Ms. Nina, you just mentioned about the preferential trade agreements like COMESA. So picking on these lines, is there any provision in the Ethiopian regulations that they mutually recognize the GMPs of other countries, let's say USFDA, EU, or the GMP approvals of neighboring countries like PPP, Kenya, or any other market?
Yes, through COMESA, there is a harmonization of the regulatory bodies, which facilitates, it shortens or it makes easy to enter the market. But however, it is also important that Ethiopian regulatory body approves it by itself. They give the GMP or they give their audit reports clearance from. But definitely, if you're if you have products in East Africa, it is added advantage. Similarly, if you have US or Europe GMP in hand, definitely this gets you an over edge over other manufacturers or exporters. So this is definitely very important point to note, that if you're exporting to East Africa or any other countries, it is going to help.
That means even if with the EU GMP or US FDA, the facility needs to be approved by Ethiopian GMP. It's a mandatory process.
Right. Like during the COVID time, there was a provision for desk approval, which was happening for many countries, not only Ethiopia, for many countries. They were giving a desk approval. But now, since we are coming back and post-COVID, it depends on the evaluating body, and it is studied as a case to case. If the desk approval is given, or they need to still look into some documents, or they want to still go ahead and get the factory inspected. So it will be more of case to case study. But as I already mentioned, that if you have US FDA approval, or if you have EU GMP, you carry a distinct advantage to enter the market.
it may expedite the process, or
Absolutely.
the approval will come easy.
Right, right.
Since you mentioned COVID, we have a question from the audience who also mentioned the COVID scenario. And he says that, is it possible to get an expedited registration or emergency approval for any drug which is required by the country? Basically, he wants to talk about the orphan drugs.
Yes, yes. This comes under a point which is under a conditional approval of medicine. So what has happened, as Fitzen already said, mentioned, only around 85% of products are getting imported in the country. So definitely there are some product or areas or diseases or ailments which are not covered. There is unmet need for this medicines or diseases. In that case, the government gives a preferential approval. So it is under this provision of conditional approval, the product is registered at a very expedited rate, and it is approved for 1 year. Later, after 1 year, the authority will again go through the details, and they will look into the details whether the approval or the inspection is required, or they can continue. So it is again a case-to-case study, but definitely products which are falling under category like oncology, orphan, biological products, they are preferred and they are getting conditional approval very fast.
That's a good opportunity for people involved in the rare drug manufacturing or rare drug exports, especially if during the COVID era, we have seen there's a sudden demand of a drug in various countries. And I hope this conditional approval provision will really help these exporters and manufacturers.
Right.
I have one more question. I don't know whether it will fall into regulatory part or the commercial part, so I leave it to you, Mr. Fitzen and Ms. Nina, to decide. The question says that, is it allowed to have multiple importers for a single registered product? So can an exporter have different importers for one registration?
I think Fitzen has already covered, but still I would like to repeat and then he can continue. Yeah, it is allowed. A single product registered can be exported by multiple buyers. The LTR or the MA holder remains the same. It is up to the discretion of MA holder and their agreements with the supplier, how the arrangements are with them. But it is possible, definitely. Maybe Fitzen can also add on to this point.
Yeah, it's just as Nina said, normally like for one product or for one company, there might be multiple importers. Previously, it was in between 3 and 5. It's not allowed to go more than that. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, like for a single product and for a single company, there might be multiple importers with the same brand, with the same brand for that specific product. Anybody can import that product.
That is interesting to know, because most of the countries don't allow. They only write one importer and one exporter for the same brand. And like you mentioned, that it depends on the discretion of the LTR owner, the MA holder, that if they can allow multiple importers for the same product. Interesting. I have one more question for Ms. Nina. It says like, is there any provision for fast track registration of a general product, which is not falling into orphan drug or a conditional approval? Is it possible to expedite the registration process? Because usually, just like you mentioned, it takes 12 to 18 months to get a product registered in Ethiopia. So is there any provision for expedited registration, or everything goes as per the guidelines only?
To be honest, this answer comes with little ambiguity, I would say. Possible, because sometimes the fees are double in case of fast track. But I would say it is not definite that it will happen. So yes, it is possible. We can try, but I cannot say with 100% assurance that it will happen. So maybe Fitzen can also share some opinion about it, because he's on ground there.
Sorry, the question?
I'm asking that, is it possible to get the product registered on fast track? That usual timeline is 12 to 18 months for a general product. general antibiotic, which is already available in Ethiopian market.
Yes.
So as a new manufacturer, as a new exporter, is it possible for me to reduce this timeline?
Okay. Actually, currently, even now from 3 months, yeah, the minimum one is 3 months, then until 18 months. Now they are getting reduced this time, especially for very vital items. For vital items and very emergency products, the registration might be reduced until 3 months, as far as I know.
I believe it's the relationships with the GMP authorities which might play a role from case to case basis.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it comes with little ambiguity. I would suggest for general product category, it's better to have proper documents in place and follow whatever the route they are saying, because they have very distinct demarcation, which are the priority products and which are not. So if it is in general category product, they must follow the Ctd dossier format and follow the routine process. But there is definitely a good change that has happened in Ethiopia market. Earlier, the timeline was too big. Now they're trying to reduce it. So they are bucking up with their regulatory authorities also. So we may see in coming days shortened regulatory registration time.
And so hope so. I believe the whole of Africa is going under a lot of regulation changes. And just you mentioned it in your slide as well, that it is very difficult to specify a fees or a timeline, because the regulations are changing very fast, especially when it comes to Africa. Earlier, I remember Africa was considered as an unregulated market. It's just a simple walk away for any exporter or manufacturer. Now things are changing pretty fast, and it's good to know that, because it promises a quality and a sustained business environment for the patients as well as the healthcare providers as well. Mr. Fitsam, I have a question for you from one of our Facebook viewer. Is there any provision of the maximum price of pharmaceuticals, or it is entirely decided by the importer at what price the product will be sold?
Yeah, this is open.
This is open market. Okay. So
yeah, open market, and like the profit margin, there is no restriction at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as the patient is ready to pay, there's no price ceiling or restrictions from the government.
Exactly.
But
nowadays, the competition is very tough, because for a single product there might be more than 10 importers for the same product. So upon that competition, like the price might get reduced, but there is no restriction for that.
That is interesting to know, because in most of the markets, the governments regulate the prices. So here it's an open market policy. Let the market decide the prices for the product. That's interesting to note. Mr. Alpan, if you have any questions from YouTube or Facebook, please.
Yes,
please
absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Saurav. In fact, there has been a lot of appreciations which have been pouring in from both Facebook and YouTube. And thank you so much, Mr. Fitsam and Ms. Nina, for your wonderful deliberations and the appreciations that you are getting. In fact, let me read out few names who have appreciated your presentation. There is Mr. Surendra Reddy, our Ms. Satwant Kaur Manku, Vishal Chandra sir, and Ajesh Shah. They have sent their appreciations for the wonderful deliberations that you have put in, the amount of knowledge and information that you have shared on this platform. In fact, I have got two questions for Nina. So the first one, that's from Mr. Vishal Chandra, who is also a part of this Life Pharma Coalition, in fact, the international part. So the first question is that what are the different level margins in the supply chain from manufacturing to wholesale to the pharmacist?
To my understanding, it is from manufacturer to wholesale, or the importer would be, it depends on the product to product. If it is general, it can be between 20 to 30, but if it is niche, it is something like in high-end antibiotics, it could be better. It could be like 50% also. It could go up to that. It depends on the product category which we are looking. Are we looking into general category, or are we looking into niche category? So I believe it is, again, product to product. We'll have to take a call. What are the margins? But in general, if we see, we can have 30% from the supplier to the importer, and from importer to the wholesalers and distributor. It is, as Pitson say, it's open market the market can decide.
Yeah, absolutely. The open market gives a bigger opportunity for the entrepreneur, but the bare minimum that you say it's 20 to 30%, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And the second question that he has put in is even more interesting. Is promotion of branded generics allowed in the Ethiopian markets?
Probably, Fitson, you would like to take this question?
Yeah, any one of you.
Yeah. Maybe to add on the first question, normally, like on the profit margin, nowadays on the importers, there is no restriction, like from supplier to importer, no, from the importer to the wholesaler, like as the market, it's decided by the market, but from the wholesaler to the retail pharmacy, usually we do like 10% profit margin, and from the retail pharmacy to the patient, usually we use 25% margin on every product.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the audience here today on LPC 103 have got a very good insight about the Ethiopian market. In fact, Africa always provides a very big opportunity for Indian entrepreneurs, and specifically today we took a dive into the Ethiopian markets. And I think today we got plenty of information about the Ethiopian market, marketing activities, the regulatory activities, and some other vital informations which are very much required as far as export of medicines from India to Ethiopia is concerned. And I think the appreciations that have been pouring in on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, you deserve every bit of it. So, Mr. Saurav, do we have any other questions for our speakers?
I have a question.
Right.
It's for both Ms. Nina and Mr. Fitsum. We have talked a lot about the pharmaceutical market. Can you throw some light on the markets of medical devices? We have seen a rise in demand during the COVID times. So from the regulatory point of view and from the commercial point of view, Ms. Nina, Mr. Fitsum, throw some light on the medical devices market in Ethiopia.
To begin with, it's, as you rightly said, during the COVID time, there was a steep rise in medical devices, be it thermometer or many other medical devices was in demand. When it comes to medical device, the regulatory guidelines are not as stringent as pharmaceutical drugs or critical care drugs. So there is definitely a scope where more products in medical devices can be introduced in the market, in Ethiopian market, with ease of product registration. So that is from my end, and maybe Fitson can also add more.
Okay, thank you. With medical device, normally in the market, there is also the same as the pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. There is high need for that. And I told you that there are local manufacturers for pharma, but there is no single manufacturer for medical device. So almost 100% of it is imported from outside. So there is a very high demand for that. And to add more for nutraceuticals, the same. Nutraceuticals, we don't have, actually there are some local manufacturers, but for some few products is manufactured there. So even there is no, with the regulatory bodies, there is no inspection of site for nutraceuticals on that. So I think this is also like a good opportunity for those who are interested on nutraceuticals also. Yes.
Actually, I would like to add, in case of medical devices, at the moment it is highly dominated by China. So the suppliers, the exporters from India can definitely look into medical devices. They can explore Ethiopia market. It's a huge market for medical devices as well. And as earlier said, the registration guidelines are not as stringent as pharma drugs. So there is a scope here, definitely.
Yeah, very correct. In fact, two things have come out very clearly here. What Mr. Fitson said is about the nutraceuticals. In fact, nutraceutical industry saw a major boom during this COVID pandemic, because everybody is trying to build immunity. And since this is an open market and not much stringency is there, so this Ethiopia presents a very good market as far as nutraceutical is concerned. And the second thing you said is about medical devices. And medical devices also has got a very good scope for Indian entrepreneurs as far as investing or exporting to Ethiopian markets are concerned. So I think this session was extremely informative because the floodgates of Ethiopia is open for Indian entrepreneurs to invest and to export. And therefore, I think this session on LPC-103 was an eye-opener for a lot of our audience who were thinking of investing in Africa. So, Mr. Saurav, any other questions have come your way?
I believe let's call it a day. It's been quite, and Mr. Praveen is also not able to join us because of technical issues. So thank you, Ms. Nina. Thank you, Mr. Fitzam. It was really indeed a pleasure. I have been, this is my first time discussing Ethiopia, so quite a learning experience for me sharing screen with you too. And I believe the audience would have enjoyed listening to your deliberation and special insights which comes from your experience working in these markets. Thank you very much. Over to you, Arpanji.
Yes. So since we have come towards the end of the session, so I will go over to Ms. Nina Singhal for her closing remarks on this session today.
In one sentence, I would like to close the session today. It's time for Africa. Please keep Africa in your priority list. There are a lot of scope, a lot of business opportunity and resources. Of course, Africa is rich. So it's time for Africa. Please do consider Africa for considering your business growth.
Yes, absolutely. A gateway of opportunities, as you correctly said. Now I'll come to Mr. Fitzam. So your take home on today's session on LPC.
Yeah. Maybe Adain, that I thank you so much for inviting me on this platform. We really had a very good discussion. And so finally, I invite all of you to see and invest either in export or manufacturing. I wish all of you to have a very fruitful business in Ethiopia. So everybody is welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fitzam. In fact, let your smile become contagious for all of us. And let this goodness spread all over so that Indian entrepreneurs get that enthusiasm to invest in Ethiopia. Mr. Saurav, your take home on this session.
I would like to second the opinion of Ms. Nina that yes, Africa is very promising. A lot of analysts and reports have been very positive about Africa. They're saying Africa will be the growth engine of this century. And I too believe in that. It is rich in resources. It just needs experience and attention of the world community. And I believe Ethiopia is one of the countries that can lead the way. Being the second most populous country in Africa, very rich in resources. And I was made to understand that it has the largest resources of fresh water in Africa. It's called as a white oil of Ethiopia. So a very rich and very resourceful country. And looking forward to getting inquiries of Ethiopian market through LPC. I hope it would have motivated our audiences to reach out to Ms. Nina and Ms. Fitzam for opportunities there. That's from my end, and thank you LPC once again for allowing this opportunity to share the screen with everyone and reach out to its audience. Thank you very much. Over to you, Arpanji.
Thank you so much, Sauravji. In fact, I started this session with the story of a typical jungle, why the lion is accepted as the king. Okay, so I'll end this session also with a story concerning the jungle, that in a jungle, a donkey told a tiger, the grass is blue, isn't it? The tiger replied, no, the grass is green. Well, the discussion heated up. And as usual, they decided to approach the Lion King for arbitration. Now, seeing the lion sitting on his throne, the donkey started screaming, Your Highness, isn't it true that the grass is blue? The lion replied, of course, the grass is blue. The donkey rushed forward and continued, this foolish tiger disagrees with me by contradicting me and annoys me by saying that the grass is green. Please punish him. The lion said, let the tiger be punished with 5 years of silence. The donkey jumped with joy and went on its way. The tiger accepted the punishment, but then asked the lion, Your Majesty, why have you punished me? after all, the grass is green. The lion replied, yes, the grass is indeed green. Then the tiger asked, then, Your Highness, why did you punish me? The lion replied, that has got nothing to do of whether the grass is blue or the grass is green. The punishment is because it is not possible for a brave and intelligent animal like you to waste time arguing with a foolish donkey. And on top of that, you are coming to me with a foolish question for arbitration. So that happens in the jungle. But friends, our greatest waste of time is arguing with a fool or a fanatic who doesn't care about the truth or the reality, accepting his views, his beliefs, and illusions. So never waste time on discussing with people that make no sense. There are people who, for all the evidence presented to them, do not have the ability to understand, and others who are blinded by ego, hatred, and resentment. The only thing they want is to be right, even if they aren't. So friends, when ignorance screams, intelligence shuts up. Your peace and tranquility are definitely worth much more. So that is what I wanted to tell all of you friends, that never argue with people who are not worth the argument, who are not worth the discussion. So you always become like the 5 people you spend your time with. So try to spend your time with people who deserve your time, who deserve your attention, and who deserve your comments. So towards the end of the session, I would once again like to thank all the speakers, my co-panelists, for this wonderful presentation and the wonderful knowledge sharing on this platform. Friends, we are almost over with COVID, but once again, I would request to exercise COVID appropriate behaviors of SMS, that is sanitization, mask, and social distancing. And I think if we continue doing this 3, very soon, this entire globe will be free of the COVID pandemic. So friends, it's time to say goodbye to you. But before that, let me promise you that we will once again be back next Sunday at 11 o'clock with a new set of speakers, a new set of thoughts, and a new set of views about a topic in the pharmaceutical industry. So thank you so much for giving us your time, giving us your support, and giving us your love. So it is Arpan Kumar Paul from LPC-103 wishing all of you a very great week. And thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
From
you.
here now, ending the meeting. Thank you.